Welcome to this brief introduction of the IATA Dangerous Goods Regulations Manual. The IATA Dangerous Goods Regulations are based on the ICAO Technical Instructions for the Transport of Dangerous Goods by Air. This specific manual is edition 64 and it is effective from 1 January to 31 December 2023. Opening this manual, we get to the first section, which is applicability. Under applicability, we find things like the definition of dangerous goods, as well as the basis of the regulations. We also find application of the regulations, responsibilities, as well as training requirements. Continuing on to limitations, which is section 2. Under limitations, we find things like forbidden dangerous goods and hidden dangerous goods. We also find table 2.3a, which is the only allowance for dangerous goods being carried by passenger or crew in the airplane. Going further, we'll find dangerous goods transported in post, dangerous goods in accepted quantities, as well as dangerous goods in limited quantities. We also find our state and operator variations. The next section we're going to look at is section 3, which is classification. Under classifications, we find the 9 hazard classes as well as their subdivisions, along with the packing groups as well as the requirements for packing group calculation. After classification, the next section is going to be section 4, identification. Section 4 is used by shippers to identify the proper shipping name of substances as well as their UN numbers. A big part of section 4 is what is known as the list of dangerous goods, also known as the blue pages. On the blue pages, a substance can be identified by its proper shipping name or by the UN number. Other information found in the blue pages are things like the class or the divisions, hazard labels, the packing groups, as well as the packaging instructions, special provisions, and emergency response guidance codes. After the list of dangerous goods, we find special provisions. Special provisions is additional information that needs to be applied to certain specific substances. After special provisions, we'll be going to the next section, which is section 5, packaging. Under section 5, packaging, we once again find the shipper's declaration, as well as the packing requirements regulations. We'll also find the list of inner packagings, along with the list of UN specification packagings, along with their codes for identification. The biggest part of packaging will be the packaging instructions. Inside the packaging instructions, we'll find all types of packaging instructions, including limited quantity packaging instructions for passenger and cargo airplanes, and packaging instructions for cargo airplanes only. After section 5, we'll be going to section 6, which is packaging specifications and performance tests. Under packaging specifications and performance tests, we find all the regulations in regards to the testing of packages and combination of packages and inner packages. Carrying on from section 6, we'll be going to section 7, which is marking and labeling. Under marking and labeling, we'll find all the regulations in regards to the marking and labeling of packages. Continuing on, the next section will be section 8, which is documentation. Under documentation, we'll find all the regulations in regards to filling in the shipper's declaration for dangerous goods, as well as the airway bill. After section 8, the next section is handling. Under handling, we'll find things like cargo acceptance procedures, as well as acceptance of dangerous goods by operators. We'll also find the regulations for accepting dangerous goods cargo using an acceptance checklist. Continuing on, we find regulations on storage as well as incompatible dangerous goods and how to segregate them. We also find table 9.3.a, which is used for the segregation of incompatible dangerous goods. We also find the regulations in regards to loading of cargo and the general loading and securing requirements of cargo containing dangerous goods. We also find the regulations in regards to inspection, as well as the regulations in regards to provision of information to the pilot in command. So basically the note doc. After section 9 handling, we find section 10 radioactive material. Because radioactive material is governed by the International Atomic Energy Agency and not the UN, the transport of radioactive material is a little bit different to the transport of all the other forms of dangerous goods. Therefore, radioactive material does not fall into section 3 classification, but it is placed in its own section, which is section 10. Radioactive material is the last section in the dangerous goods regulations. After section 10, we find appendices as well as the index. And this will conclude our brief introduction into the dangerous goods regulations.